Hello and happy holidays, fellow nerds. Welcome back to new platinum content as we play some Dungeons and Dragons. Tonight, as usual, we pick up our story for Dikuth's Band of Merry Men. Last we left off, our merry men had started their voyage to Maztica. They explored and talked with the crew, determining and trying to figure out who or what they might be or any knowledge that they might have. A few weeks, however, going into their journey, the crew of the Howl of the Night spied dangerous colors on the horizon. The colors were the flags of the Coralbeard ships, famous Waterhavian pirates. After making some forced decisions, a chase ensued and was shortly followed by a battle. As arrows and ranged weaponry rained down all around them, they turned and fought back. Our merry men, however, learned quickly, very quickly, how dangerous the Coral Beard crew and ships were, as these arrows and weaponry, and soon to find out a magical source as well, wreaked havoc upon their ship and also the crew of the Howl of the Night. In response, the band of merry men decided that they would go all out and wrecked both ships pretty completely, sinking them and destroying most of their crew. Upon recovering and getting back to the ship, they had looked around and noticed their losses and were about to pick up before realizing that they were still in the midst of a storm. And as Gray ran to take the helm of the ship, he began barking orders to everyone around him. And that, my friends, is where we're going to pick up. As I believe, Jelenith, you were in the process of moving some of the dead, and you had discovered as well that there may have been a leak somewhere in the bottom of the boat.
I come upstairs, or I rush back up to the top of the deck, and I yell out, "Guys, we're taking on water underneath."
So immediately you watch as Booker's head kind of rocks up at that sound, at the immediate danger that you seem to place on his shoulders, that he needs to get moving. And as he runs over to you, this broad-shouldered man looks you dead in the eye and says, "Where? Where?"
Under the deck somewhere. I don't know. There's a hole somewhere.
And you see him just take off, and he begins. He pretty much muscles his way right into the water, and you notice that it's up to his knees about right now, and he soon disappears around the corner of the stairs. And you all notice that Gray begins shouting out orders around the ship, and we're actually going to enter into a skill challenge here for this
Oh
to
no.
survive the storm or weather the storm. There are multiple things being uh, shouted out. You hear that Gray is going to take control of the steering as of right now. Uh,
Kovash hands it up.
he will need. He begins yelling and pointing, and you hear him in his gruff voice. He says, "As soon as possible, I need 3 people to fold the regular sails and bring up the storm jib." And then he goes on to say, "Anybody with a sharp eye, get to the front of the boat and look for flat spots and avoid and tell me where the big breaking waves are." Um, and then he begins wrestling with the steering wheel itself as a large wave hits and rocks the side of the ship. What are you all doing?
Sif is gonna go start rushing over to get up the sails and get the storm jib.
All right.
Kovash
Catcher
will
will
Calling
go
out
follow.
ahead
calling
with
out
that.
to Kovash to get his ass over here to help.
All right.
Yep, Kovash is already on his way. He has no idea what he's doing, but he's here to take orders.
Sure.
Dickus runs to the front of the ship to keep eye out.
All right. What are the rest of you doing?
Katra goes with Sif and
Kovash.
Excellent. And
He said he needed people to grab the sails, right?
yeah, they need people to bring down or fold the regular sails, and
I would
bring
like
up
to do that.
the
I would
storm
like to
jib.
go fold the regular sails, please.
All right, so you head over to where Kovash, Sif, and Katra are.
Yep.
And Jelenith, what are you doing?
I am going to go back down and assist the guy who's looking for the hole in the ship.
All right, excellent, excellent. So, Jelenith, as you rush back downstairs, you notice that the water hits probably around your knees as well, maybe a little higher, but it doesn't seem to be rising very quickly. And as you rush around, you kind of look to and fro to see where Booker has gone off to, and you notice in the far back of the ship, he's currently in the process of lugging over some tools and some now waterlogged wood. As you notice that there's an interesting sight, to say the least, that there is part of the ship has seemed to blown in, as in there is a hole in the ship. However, there still seems to be something blocking where that hole is, and only trickles of water seem to be seeping past whatever that thing is that is holding still to the hole. And as you rush over, you see that Booker is looking around, and he says, so one of the catapults, the rock hit the suction, held it there. We can use this to our advantage. I'm going to need you to hold all the wood that I can to start helping me build a brace and support.
Got it.
All right.
And I grab all the wood that I can.
So you guys start getting together and working on that. Why don't you go ahead and give me just a general, let's just general survival check, to see how well you maintain under the pressure of this intense situation. All right.
14.
Excellent, excellent. And Booker, right by your side, is able to guide you and tell you, and excellent. Right there, move to an inch. All right, move your hand. Boom, nail it. And you guys work pretty quickly and furiously and seem to stem up this slight flow of water within minutes. And it seems to go over very well. And Booker kind of looks around and looks you, and next we need to get rid of this water as fast as possible. And he
Give me
begins
a bucket.
looking around for anything to just start bailing water out the sides of small
Yeah,
portholes
there are
and everything.
portholes, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So you guys get to work. We're gonna jump back to everybody else. So Dikuth, you said that you were heading towards the front of the ship.
Yes, sir.
By the way, that is one success, gentlemen.
Yes.
You said that you're gonna look. So you hear Gray as he watches you take to the front. So look for these flat spots on the wave, and also watch out for any incoming wave that I can't see. The storm jibs are gonna be taking my eyes. So go ahead and give me a perception check as you kind of take this advice.
All right. 1 second here. My character sheet is having some problems.
No worries.
All the worries.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties here, guys. I keep losing my connection to Roll20.
No worries. All right. While that is happening, though, the four of you that have gone to work on the sails, Bjolf, you've been probably the most experienced out of the four of them. So you know that this is going to require, to bring down the normal sail, it's going to require two pretty strong people and a pretty quick-footed person all at the same time. And then to bring up the storm jib, it's going to require 2 more even stronger people and another dexterous person.
Okay. Can just by looking at these people, can I tell which one would be the strongest?
Yeah, you could
Not
probably
Cat.
easily tell that
Kovash
Kova
and
is
Sif are about the same
between
size.
Kovash and Sif.
All right. So I direct Kovash and Sif to
Sure.
do the thing that requires 2 strong people.
Sure, excellent. And Kovash and Sif, why don't you guys go ahead and give me an athletics check?
Oof. That's a natural too. Fuck.
And then are you going to take the climbing amongst the rigs and loosening some certain parts, or are you going to guide Katra to do that?
Actually, can I help Sif?
Sure, I'll allow you to help Sif. And then
All right.
Katra, you're gonna have to, as she kind of sees that Sif, as Kovash begins easily unraveling several of these knots to take down the sail. Sif's mailed gauntlets begin slipping easily in the water and everything. So you rush over to begin aiding him, and at the same time you shout over your shoulder to Katra what he needs to do. And you hear this, Katra, and I need an acrobatics check from you, actually, as you start following instructions.
Hey.
Alrighty.
Second numbers are always
Excellent.
higher.
So then, Sif, also roll at advantage, please. Then,
Just another one?
yes, please.
Hey.
Hey.
All right. So yeah, with all the help and the guidance, you easily Sif and Bjolf work together and are able to get the main part of the sail started to roll down, and you guys quickly work together. So I will count that as 2 successes. You guys are shooting for 1 more success. So as soon as
Are you good, Dikuth?
wait, you guys need 2 more successes. I apologize. Yeah, Dikuth, are you able to roll your persuasion or perception?
I'm having some problems. Let me just roll this IRL.
No
I need-
worries.
Sorry about that. So that is a 7 plus, I believe, Dikuth has a 1 for perception.
That will be your first fail.
Oof.
So, as you all are maintaining and folding down the main sail, Dikuth, you're distracted by several factors going on in the ship. Marius is still pretty much blabbering and wailing and crying, and it's just very hard to focus in the storm as well, with Gray yelling over your shoulder. And just at that moment, you all watch as a wave drops out from underneath you, and all of you tilt suddenly to the right and lose your footing as the ship drops about 20 feet out of the air with a loud crash and crack. Jelenith,
Better not be another freaking
Jelenith,
hole.
you watch as suddenly you lose your footing and are thrown into the air before crashing back into the water with Booker, and you out of the water just to see the support and brace that you had just made kind of but hold firm. And everybody's able to quickly gather their feet, and it seems like no one's washed off board, but that was your first fail. So after that, Bjolf, you begin guiding everybody to bring up the higher, stronger storm jib, and you know that you guys are going to have to put your all into this. That as during the current storm, it is going to be extremely hard to bring these sails up, and also you're gonna have you just use all your strength and willpower. So it's basically going to be the same format: two athletics checks followed by an acrobatics check, and they're all going to be higher DCs now.
Kovash is actually gonna get angry for this.
All right. So, Kovash, angry, just an infernal temper begins rising up. You weren't able to face your enemy on common footing. This wasn't a fair fight. You weren't able to do this like you wanted to, and you just begin heaving and pulling and heaving and pulling. And who is also going to make the other athletics check?
Can I cast guidance on myself and then make an athletics check?
Sure. And are you guys gonna do the same where it's you and Sif?
I can do that and help out else.
All right.
What?
Then
Yeah, I said.
go ahead and take guidance plus advantage to your athletics check, Bjolf.
Alrighty.
And then Katra, once more, you have to set the.
Hey!
Oh!
Excellent. And with that, seeing Kovash kind of it
Struggling.
not struggling. At first, Bjolf kind of hesitates, as for a minute it reminds you of a lot of people you grew up around when you were young. As Kovash begins entering a similar type thing as the dwarf did earlier on in this combat, and seeing that you grin, and with Sif right behind you, all three pull with all your might and set the storm jib right into place as quick as possible. Katra, you follow up quickly along the rigging, and you're going to have to tie things into place. I'm going to need a final acrobatics check from you.
Oh, boy.
Yikes.
Well, that's still technically in my book going to count as a success because nat 1, nat 20 plus a success roll equals out. So, Katra, as you climb up, you're able to actually finish putting the storm jib into place, but immediately another large wave hits the side of the boat. This time less dramatic, but it does knock you from the rigging, and I'm going to need another acrobatics check to try and catch yourself.
Sif is gonna. Can Sif try and grab at the crab at him just to make sure he doesn't fly off the side?
Then, as you see Sif immediately try to steady himself to try and grab you as you begin falling. All right, and Sif, poof, into your chest. You both kind of hit the onto your butt as Katra hits you right directly into your center of gravity, and you slide back into like the captain's quarters, hitting hard. But no damage done to either of you as you kind of look down at Katra in your arms.
Oof. Thanks.
Let's get this over with. Next captain.
And you all look as Gray eyes you and says, "That's it. The best we can do now, we hope." As you see his arms bulging from turning and barely moving this wheel as it's fighting all his strength against him. And this, you notice, goes on for hours. You all begin to steady yourself and take places amongst the deck, or even go to help Jelenith and Booker bail the second level out.
Oh, please do. Please do. There's so much water.
You do get Booker does call down Bromley, and eventually Marius does make his way down as well to help you. but you all kind of grip the boat, white knuckled, facing into this gigantic storm, just lightning flashing across the sky, lighting up the sea, which allows you to see a great churning ocean in front of you that just seems to roil and rage about, foaming and just in absolute terror to see from the deck of a wooden ship as you this as I said goes on for hours and hours, and eventually Gray begins to tire and you see his arms flagging and he calls out and asks for help and says,
I run up and grab the wheel from him.
and you take over and immediately you feel the wheel almost take you from your feet as you fight it back into power or into position, and you realize that for Gray to have done this for like the 7 to 8 hours that he's now done this for,
He's a beast.
He's a beast. As this is quickly draining on your arms, and about an hour in, you see that you're very close to the edge of the storm, and with one final push, a wave does seem to, as the rain passes and the waves begin to calm around you, the clouds kind of part. And
Sif is gonna
and the sea calms.
Sif will take one gentle moment to look at the calm and then continue barreling water with his helmet.
It's probably not much more left. You guys have been going at this for a very long time at this point.
Thank
It's
God.
probably to the point where you can't really get any more off the bottom.
Okay, thank God.
And as you all stand there, looking around, exhausted, noticing the dead, you realize you probably haven't slept in 24 hours. And the exhaustion hits you. What would you like to do?
I would like to commend Captain Gray.
Do you say Captain Gray?
Oh no, wait, not Gray. Eric. Yes, Captain Eric.
Oh,
Cause he's the quartermaster, right?
It-
He would technically be next in line,
yeah.
or the next in command.
It was odd. For what little you did see of the deck during the most dangerous part of the storm, you didn't really see Eric. And as you kind of look around the deck, you don't notice him.
Guys, are we? We should do a head count.
I'm here.
Right.
I've got one
Kovash
head
is here.
enough.
Jonathan Dikuth is here, and so is Civ. Where's Gray?
Gray kind of sits up from. He had kind of collapsed under the stairs to the top part of the helm, and just was sitting there, kind of catching his breath and nodding in and out. And
Sif's
I'm here.
Okay.
Sif's gonna go check the captain quarters.
Left-handed.
Is at that time, as you say that, is crawling down the rigging. I'm here.
Okay. Marius was downstairs with me. So was Bromley and Booker. So I know they're alive. Valdra.
You look around. She's not on main deck, but as you kind of peek downstairs, you do see her actually taking stock of what's left.
So, oh, Bjelf?
I'm here.
Okay, so where's Eric?
All right. And as you open the door, Sif, you kind of notice that there is no light currently in the captain's quarters, but you do see a glint off of some sort of flask, and you hear eerie scraping of metal as a spike drags across another plate of armor. As you see and notice Eric taking a long swig from this flask, and tears have been just streaming down his face.
Did we lose somebody?
This is all Sif.
Yeah.
Sif.
Sif is the only one that sees this.
Sorry, the push talk didn't work. Sif is going to look back and after a moment, gonna call out, "I found him!" Before he's actually gonna kind of step in and close the door behind him, and he's gonna come up to him, kind of like take a little bit of the robes on the thing, and actually kind of start to scrummage on his face a tiny bit, and say, in really solemn voice, as quietly and as heartfelt as his groggy voice can give. They're all looking for you, my man, and we need you to be standing strong. Just hold fast for what little time you can. Please.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check. Sif, as you kind of lean closer to the dwarf, you notice that his eyes are just clouded over and he's unfocused, kind of staring off. And you still notice that there's a little spittle at the corner of his mouth, as he doesn't even seem to notice your presence.
I'm gonna check him out, make sure that he's actually okay and not just insanely drunk.
You would actually probably recognize this as some sort of exhaustion from going berserk and raging, and that his type might have some sort of side effect.
Oh. Okay. Sif is gonna, after just kind of come sit with him for a minute, and just actually gonna kind of like pump a last couple points of lay on hands into him to kind of just try and ease whatever little bit he might not understand, and is gonna then leave the captain's quarters to head back to the group and inform them that the captain is currently resting, exhausted.
He probably won't accept it. As you notice, Gray kind of begins standing up. Eric won't accept it.
Except what? That he's captain?
Yeah,
Or everything that just happened?
that he's captain. He'll probably pass it to me.
Well,
Why?
You see him.
I did.
Anyways, you know where Valdra is?
she's downstairs taking stock, which is actually probably a smart thing. I actually don't know how much we threw overboard when we were being chased.
Did I don't see Calliope.
Gallop's dead. We should probably take note of who's
And you just see
missing.
Gray kind of turn around and walk back into the captain's quarters for a few moments. And then he walks back out holding a map. Unfortunately, that's our navigator.
Oh boy.
I mean, you're pretty good at navigating, Jelena.
Sif is gonna
I
pipe
can
in.
navigate where I've been and on land. I don't know how to navigate the seas.
You know how to read a map.
I have experience reading war maps and planning large scale things. I might be able to help a little bit with the
DM.
sea charts if you can try and give me a crash course, Gray.
In my experience, would I have had experience reading stars?
Hmm. Yes, actually.
So,
However, it is
is it?
daytime right now as you
Yeah,
sailed
I was
through
about to
the
say.
night and were battling at night. So,
Okay.
but yes,
All right. So I speak up and I'm like, as soon as it's dark, I can figure out where we are.
does anybody know how to use the compass?
I mean, compass points north. I'm guessing we headed out west from the Sword Coast.
I mean,
So
and
we just
also
need to.
them tools, the sharp two-pointed thing.
Oh, that compass.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like the pointing north compass, not the 2 point. No, don't know how to use it.
Well, let me go find Valdra, and Gray hobbles off downstairs.
I'll take the
Actually,
wheel.
over the next 30 minutes to an hour, I'm like over the next 30 minutes. We won't get there yet, but over the next 30 minutes to an hour, can I track the sun to figure out what direction we're heading in?
Yeah. Give me a survival check.
24.
You are easily able, keeping track of its position versus your position, to tell that you are going northwest.
Okay. So we need to start traveling in a somewhat eastward direction to kind of get back towards the Sword Coast. And then once night comes out, we can then redirect our eastward direction, north or south, depending on how far we are from wherever we're going back to, which I'm guessing is water deep.
Going back.
Yeah, I don't think we have the supplies to make it to Maztica anymore. But
DM, correct me
we'll need to talk
if
to.
I'm wrong. Weren't we like 2 weeks out?
Yes, yeah, pretty much. You're right on the cusp of being halfway there. Like you're 14. Well, this is now your 15th day of.
If we don't have
sailing.
enough supplies to make it there, we probably don't have enough to get back.
Well, it's 40 days there and then 40 days back, correct, DM? Roughly?
Oh yeah, 40. My bad. So you're 15 days into a 40-day travel.
Which means we will have 40 days of materials going there, 40 days materials going back. But I
I
don't
mean,
know how much we lost during that
that's
raid.
not to say that we won't find anything useful there.
Right, but we also don't have the crew
How many
to
heads
make
do
it
we have?
If
there.
we don't find something useful there, we get stuck there.
Let's go check in with Valdra and see how much we have left in supplies.
All right. As you all head downstairs, below deck, you see that Gray is kind of over. Well, he's over everybody's shoulder, but over Volder's shoulder, reading some sort of list that she's making, and they're talking very silently, but seems pretty intense.
That doesn't bode well. I will make my approach.
All right, and Gray turns around and sighs deeply.
Not good, huh?
Well, what we didn't drop, we lost a lot to water.
All right. Estimated amount left?
I think Voldra says that we can maybe make a week.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to Maztica. We should definitely turn around.
Well, I don't know about that, but we'll figure something out. We have to figure out where we are before we just turn around.
Well,
have no
we're
idea-
heading.
We have no idea how much that storm pushed us either, though, or where it
Yeah.
dragged us.
Well, we're heading in a northwest direction at the moment. We headed out west from the Sword Coast. So heading in a general eastern direction will get us somewhere until nighttime. So it's better than keep going this direction we're heading in. So
Is anyone still above decks? Because I assume I'm still steering the ship.
Oh, I said I would take over for you so you can have a break.
Okay. At some point, I just say, if someone allows me to sleep, I can make food and water.
Kovash grins as he takes the wheel and says, "Go get some sleep."
You and I both.
Then why didn't you speak up sooner?
Because they already knew that. Sorry. I'm not used to being on a ship.
We
I don't think I
Who-
knew that,
who-
Seth.
Who
we
knew
did-
that? Sif
Sif,
could make
you,
food and water.
Sif used
Not
it
at
in one of
all.
the times when we were resting. If you missed it, that's on you.
Were we? I thought we just used my wild cunnings to gather food.
It was the very first night, and he did that, and he said, "I offer this food as substance for saving me. Thank you."
I walk off and go find somewhere to sleep.
All right. So the rest of you eventually begin throughout the rest of the day begin finding positions to go to sleep and resting and trying to uh, capture a moment for yourself in
Mm.
the eye of the chaos.
Okay.
Wait.
I do ask Gray one quick question before he leaves him under deck, and ask him what are the proper procedures um for crew lost at the sea.
We try to stay as close to their customs as possible. Most will probably be
Oh shit!
depending on the person, but most will probably be shipped off to sea.
Okay, because we got 7 bodies and then 2.
Yes, I'll begin figuring it out. I'll handle it. And you see
All
him
right.
kind of trudge off.
Let me know if you need any help with anything.
You see him nod. No response though. As the day wears on and those of you begin taking your long rest and switching out, I assume Kovash, one of the few remaining crew members offers to take up the helm from you, so you can get your rest as well. And as all of you are resting, you can take the benefits of a long rest. However, at the end of your rest, you are all suddenly awoken by the shout of left-handed and his snarling voice at the top of his
Please don't say
lungs
pirates.
saying, "Lando."
Oh,
Land.
What? Land.
Kobash rushes up to the upper decks.
Sif is rushing up.
All right. You all see that Gray has already, at some point, he had gotten the captain's seeing glass and is looking at what you all notice very, very, very far off in the distance. 1 second. Yes, as I thought. A very, very mountainous, cliffy, just very rugged terrain of land, very far off in the distance. And as you all see that, sorry, Gray looks for a moment, nodding. Well, good news and bad news. What do you want first?
The good news. I like to be disappointed by the bad news.
We actually are on track and probably ahead of schedule.
Then what's the
What's
bad?
the bad news?
That's Laracon. You don't go to Laracon.
Because they want to kill you with joyful happiness and hospitality?
No, they want to eat you.
With joyful happiness and hospitality?
With teeth.
That are dull with joy and happiness and hospitality?
Sif is going
will
to put a
literally
mouth,
look at
put
the
a
other
hand
party
over
members.
over Katra's mouth and is going to say, "Don't make me have to make you stop."
As Gray kind of looks at the rest of the party. Yes, with sharp, extremely sharp teeth, from what I'm told.
How many are there supposed to be? How big are they?
There's 8 kingdoms.
Kingdoms.
Most of them are all slaves. There's one slave land. There's one that's all lawlessness and this strange thing called the Order of the Dawn. There's a whole bunch.
So what are our options then?
Well,
Eat them before they eat us?
if you give me a few moments, maybe I can now map where I actually am and see. And so Gray walks to the captain's quarters and begins looking out the window and trying to see if there's any, notable as you all begin to somewhat approach these set of islands or island. He comes out a few moments later and says that the storm seems to, he says, the storm seems to have pushed us to the trackless sea, which is also in and of itself a good and bad thing.
How is it good and bad?
First, somehow, well, y'all remember the spell plague? Well,
No. What's the spell plague?
and he tilts his head and raises his scaly brow at you.
Yes.
And Sif kind of.
Every one of you would know of the effects of spell plague except for Jelena.
Except for me, yeah.
I said yes.
And well, I'm pretty sure Laracon was never here. And then, as people say it, after the spell plague, it kind of appeared. So, that also means it's otherworldly.
Sif's gonna go off towards the back upper deck of the ship,
Okay.
and he's going to actually set up and take out the chess piece,
Okay.
and he's going to reach out and attempt to ask for guidance on this.
As per the usual, what and how do you do things, and what do you say?
Well, he's gonna take a kneeling position and draw the sword and lay it down in front of his knees. And place the chess piece just upon the base of the blade, where before where it hilts, and he's gonna kind of trace a finger along the blade before bringing his hand back towards the chess piece, and taking up and closing his eyes. He's gonna hold it forward and reach out, asking if um if this land is a place upon his eyes.
As you sit at the back of the boat, focusing and concentrating on the detailed carving of the knight piece of a chess set, you mentally start saying this, but it physically forms as words and forces itself out of your mouth. And as you say this question, you just feel some of your life force, not your life force, but you just feel your energy drain for a solid 10 seconds as these wisps begin pulling off of your skin in this red energy. And after a moment, it coalesces into the night. And she sits there and stares at you. And a minute passes before a long, drawn out breath enters her lungs, and she says, "Do not go there. It is not worthy of your time. You know where you are headed. You know where you need to be. Do you question his path?"
Nay, only the path that may have been brought. A storm of that stature, I've seen him wield a hammer. I've seen him smith like one. So I only seek to make sure that I know the path.
But you do not know, my little youngling. A great battle happened last night. A battle between him and the master of the seas.
Well, I can tell you I was living in it.
And you hear a breathy echo, and it emanates from the mouthpiece of her great helm, but it seems to just echo from all around you. And she says, "He won. However, he paid a great price, and now we need you more than ever. Do not falter again." And you hear with a loud you feel as if you've been slapped across the face. And you just rock for a second before you turn back, and the chess piece is sitting there now on the back of the boat. And you feel a trickle of blood roll down your lips.
Wait, on the back of the boat, like on the railing?
Yeah. Where she was sitting.
Oh, Sif is gonna take his blade underhanded and make sure to get that piece before it falls off. Like, I mean, in like one quick.
Oh, you can go up and grab it. It's like on the railing in the back, just sitting there. You can. But as you remove it, you do notice that there is a ring burned into the railing
A ring?
where the chess piece was.
He's just gonna trail his finger there for a moment and just remain there before he's going to, with a newfound bolstering and kind of holding his shoulders a bit higher and pass forward, he's going to return back to the group and
You okay, Sif?
I agree with Gray. We don't want to go there. It's not of our time, and we have our path. Joneth, with all due respect, we don't have a chance to go back, because if we're as far forward as possible, we may be past the point of no return. Am I to assume correctly, Gray?
Well, there really isn't no. I mean, if Beowulf is right and he can make food, then there really isn't no point of no return. It seems that what damage has been done will hold the rest of the journey.
So we don't really have a reason to go back, is what you're saying.
I mean, I would like to collect on the payment still, so to make up for the deaths of the crew and all of that.
I
So I
mean,
would like to
we
see the
already
job
made the
done.
payments.
Yes, but if I take you back, then that is no longer the job done.
So you would like to go forward as well.
I would. I would have to talk to the crew still.
Are you guys able to crew the ship on a crew of 6 people? Plus
We're gonna need
whatever
you.
adventures we have?
As long as you don't sit around picking your asses, then yes.
We're gonna need you exactly, and then we should be able to be fine.
Why would someone pick their ass?
I offer my body in service so that way we can make sure this journey is continued and complete. If you want, me and Dikuth can come in with you and speak to the crew.
Alright, boys. Let's earn them sea legs then.
And Sif is actually going to kind of step forward and like actually put a hand for, or like a gloved hand forward, and is going to say, "We have a decision then, and let's set it."
Who
Everyone.
are you offering it to?
Oh, he's looking at everyone and says, "Everyone."
Gray will put
I
his hand
never
forward.
voted to go back. I always wanted to go forward.
And put your big burly hand in this.
And Gray puts his hand and but if you excuse me, I'm gonna. Can you guys just keep the boat going straight? I'm gonna take the crew below deck, and we're gonna have a conversation.
Sure.
Beowulf, and he
Yeah.
nods and walks that way. However,
Nods as in wants me to go with him.
yeah, like nods
Okay.
in that direction of the stairs to downstairs.
Yep.
He definitely put his fist in and then walked away. But because he can't say for the whole crew. But we're going to pause right there for a second, because Bjolf, I'm gonna need a perception check from you, please.
Ooh. All right. Cool. Ugh.
Second number is always higher.
I know.
Right.
You watch as Sif. We're gonna rewind back for a second. I wanted to let the conversation flow, but we were rewinding to when you watched Sif walk up the back of the boat, and you kind of followed him with your gaze, and you were curious as to what he was doing as he pulled something out and seemed to be futzing with it. As you're watching, over your shoulder, you feel a presence.
Oh.
And as you look back, because you kind of look over your shoulder, nothing's there, and you look back, you see this large red armored figure sitting
Oh.
cross-legged at the back of the boat, above and kind of in front, holding herself majestically above Sif. And it seems to you that even though they're armored, they are having some sort of conversation.
Oh.
And the presence over your shoulder says, "We do not like them. We do not like them."
And I just start grinding my teeth, and my fists clench really hard into my palms until blood starts running down my hands. But then I turn and I follow to below decks.
Excellent. All right. So you and the rest of the crew, as well as Eric, is actually eventually brought down. He seems to have been brought out of his stupor. And the rest of the crew is very minimal compared to what you remember. There's 7 people plus yourself. A very small portion of what remains of the crew. And Gray kind of looks each of you individually in the eye. He shakes his head as he gets to Marius. And then he says, "Well, that's probably the worst thing we've ever been a part of." And most of the group does nod their acknowledgement and assertion. And he says, "I don't blame you if you want to go back. I just think that in sake of Captain Mornstar, we should see this through and collect on our payment for the good of us and the people that died for us." And he looks to Eric. "Assume, Eric, that you do not want to take command of this vessel." And Eric looks him over as his eyes begin brimming with tears again. "Nay." And he just falls silent, even looking down at the floor. "All right. Well, I assume then that puts me into the position, seeing as none of you other you wants to take it." And he looks around, waiting for anybody to say anything. No one does. Well,
Nope.
all right. Then I think that we should continue forward, and that's my vote. And I would like to hear the rest of you, and what your opinions are. And Eric stands up taller and kind of, I think we should keep going. At least for Captain Mornstar." And he nods his head. And then it seems that as you go, the rest of the crew seems to all acknowledge that they would like to go, except for Marius, who says, I don't want to sail ever again. I can't be a part of this."
Well, we could throw you off the side.
And Marius kind of, "Please don't." And Gray says,
That-
"It's fine. It's not often you come across one of the most dangerous pirates. We'll solve it when we get to shore. But, Bjolf, are you agreed?"
I'd like to continue. Yes.
All right, then it's heard. Teach these new people as much as you can about sailing, as fast as you can. Ours and their lives now depend on it." And he nods and walks back up to the main deck.
Can I wait for everyone else to leave? Are there still bodies down here?
Yes. And yes, you can.
Once everyone is gone, I would like to take the shoe off of one of them,
Okay.
cut a toe off, and then put the shoe back.
All right. Easily enough.
Thank you.
It seems that most of everybody is still on the main deck right now, or has filtered back up to the main deck. No one seemed to stay
Okay.
down there, so it was pretty
Then I'm
easy.
going to quickly. I'm going to set the toe in the middle of and I draw a circle with my own blood around it, and I sit there and I start muttering in Undercommon, and what he's saying, from this piece of flesh, I ask that you give us sustenance, and I cast create food and water.
Oh, excellent.
Oh God.
And
Hashtag Mrs. Lovett.
you watch as the blood kind of roils and boils in that circle that you've created, and begins rising as if gravity no longer affects it, drops here and there, and then it begins connecting to the toe, and this white hot glow happens, and you just start seeing food and water piling out. Wait, do you have a container for the water?
Oh shit. Yes. Oh, I mean, I'm down there. Can I grab
there's
something quick?
so many barrels down there.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll grab a barrel.
So many
You
barrels,
watch
guys.
as this toe literally fills 45 pounds. Right? It does both, right?
Hold on, let
Yes.
me look at the spell quick.
4 to 5 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water on the ground
Yep.
or in containers.
Okay, so yeah,
Containers, so you can do it more than one.
You also gather up some crates and barrels that were left over, and you create 45 pounds of this small, grayish, wafer-looking bar, and fill the barrels with crystal clean water.
Okay. So I take the food back up on deck as quickly as I can. And I just kind of like set it on there where it's not going to go rolling off the side. And I call out to everybody like, we need to eat this today or it turns into, it won't look good tomorrow. So eat this today.
And people file over from the crew and begin munching on the bars.
And then if I'm correct, the water never goes.
Let's see. Excuse me.
The water is clean and doesn't go
Yep.
bad. Yep.
All right, cool.
All right.
And I wipe up the blood circle before.
Sure. And you return, and everybody seems extremely grateful and nod to you. And thanks, Yof. Thanks, Yof.
You're welcome.
What are the rest of you doing? If not, we're
Going to find Bjolf.
Bjolf had just brought up a crate of food right in front of you.
So where'd the food come from?
Cast a spell and it appeared.
Like just foof out of midair.
Just
Yes.
Poof. Sorry.
How does this spell work?
And I lean really close and I cast thaumaturgy to make the war paint on my eyes kind of like flare back in this weird smoky trail. And I lean really close and I'm like, my goddess allows me.
Push talk, Steve.
Uh, he says, "Oh," and taps his like forehead, and then like he uses minor illusion to make his eyes like wispy and like glowy. And he says, my God comes from inside of me." Anyway, I was just checking on you. I know we had a rough couple of days, and you were seeming down. I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to do something drastic.
Was I seeming down?
You
Or
were
was
seeming
I
a little
just bleeding to death?
It's hard to say.
If you can't tell the difference, maybe you should get your eyes checked. And I walk away.
Or I should stop
Rejected.
running away from people. But either way, duly noted. Has any of my friends came to check on you?
No.
Cheleneth, Gray walks up to you and he says, "The crew is with me." Or, I'm sorry. The crew is with me. They would
All
like
right.
to press on if you as well, if you would like as well.
I mean, if you guys feel comfortable, continue on with this many
Well, we
crew.
don't want to go back towards where the Water Havian pirates are. These savages are out here.
All right. I think everyone in the group wants to carry on, so I guess we'll carry on then.
All right.
Sif is gonna
Uh,
find Dikuth.
All right. Easily enough, the ship is not big enough for anybody to really hide from anybody else.
They don't have minor illusion.
aren't you going to go find
I
Dikuth?
don't hear Dikuth at all.
I said something in chat a while ago. His audio light is lit up like he's been talking for about 5 minutes and I haven't heard anything. He might have to restart.
One moment, please.
Well,
I mean,
during that
yes, I
time,
knew. I'm already looking for my Dikuth.
The doohickus.
Still nothing.
All right. Well, at that moment, we're actually going to take our break for the night, and we'll be right back as we figure out our technical difficulties because I can speak. So join us in about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll all be right back to see how the rest of the dangerous voyage goes. Hello and welcome back to New Platinum Content as we are streaming Dikuth's Band of Merry Men. Last we left off, the crew as well as the Band of Merry Men had decided that despite what had happened to the crew and themselves, they think that they should push through and push on their course towards Maztica. After assessing the situation and finding out that Bjolf could provide them with food and water during the duration of the rest of the voyage, and that the actual repair of the ship is not, or the damage done to the ship is somewhat stemmed by the repair that they were able to do and should hold out for the rest of their voyage. And as we pick up, we find that Sif, after having a conversation with the general of his deity, began looking for the man who the crew that he is joined is named after, Dikuth, which he finds pretty easily as Dikuth apparently begins pulling out his bagpipes and seems ready to start practicing them.
Sif is Sif actually kind of like puts a hand out and is like, Dicketh, it's been a while actually since I last brought this up, but um, how are the scars from the dragon? If you want, I can spend more time during this journey and attempt to ease them away as I did on the ones on your face.
Well, they were kind of gooey at the beginning, but everything seems okay now. I definitely won't try to be taking any dragon acid to the face anytime soon.
Well, if something should come up in that regards, or if you should want to take up the offer, just let me know, sir. It would. After all, you did a very bold thing, just blindly stepping forth and beckoning a dragon like that.
Oh, I barely even remember any of that. If, if from what I've heard, you guys did most of the work.
But watching on one of our fellow comrades go down with such a strike, you should have seen the way Kovash yelled.
Yeah, Kovash is a big softy.
As much as it pains to admit it, you're not wrong. Thank you for your time again, Diggith. Please work good with those bagpipes so they don't hurt my ears anymore.
I surely will. And Dikuth begins blowing his pipes.
Alright, and you instantly disappear. Alright.
At some point, can I hear him playing the bagpipes and whip out my lute
You
and
definitely
try to play along with him?
hear it right away.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely can pull out your flute, and as the
Not
crew,
flute, lute.
a lute. I apologize. And as the rest of the crew begins going about their daily chores, that you all do notice that they begin to kind of rock back and forth to the gentle music that you do begin playing. Um, you guys can give me performance checks if you'd like.
Oh, absolutely.
I would join in with my flute.
I will
Oh,
surely do
God.
that for you.
This is gonna be
This
so.
is the bone flute.
Oh,
No, I just have a normal flute.
Okay, okay.
Jacob has all the magical.
please not a bone flute. Please no.
Eee.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
What?
I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing because they're
It's
bad
so
pipes.
bad, everyone starts drinking, and
Oh,
it
God.
starts sounding good.
What starts off as an amazing beginning, the bagpipes kind of do this low, monotonous kind of droning as the lute and flute begin battling over top. But very soon after, it falls apart as they all lose rhythm on each other and begin playing over each other and fumbling chords and a whole mess. As even the practiced Dikuth begins running out of breath and popping and repopping in and out of existence with his bagpipes as he's unable to keep a continuous stream. And it eventually lightens the mood as people just begin laughing at all of you. And you hear the heartiest chuckle from Gray as he's at the helm of the ship. You're all fools.
I'm trying to make eye contact with Dikuth the entire time to try and figure out where the beat is, but he keeps disappearing, so I have no idea where his eyes are.
It doesn't help that he's also doing the face where he's puffing it up and you see his eyes unfocusing too when they do reappear. It's a mess, but the whole crew laughs, and it appears that the general mood is raised as you all fumble and eventually, blushing, kind of scratch your heads and put your instruments away.
After all of that, or at some point when there's an open time, Sif actually wants to talk to Jelenith too.
Sure, we'll say a couple days have passed. Sailing seems to be a breeze now as the seas are very calm, and you do have a wind pushing you perfectly in the direction that you seem to need to be going. And a few days pass, and you easily enough you actually find Jelenith in the middle of learning some basic carpentry from Booker, as she was the first to help him repair the hole in the ship. He's began kind of teaching her some of the other things as per Gray's instructions. And you catch them in the middle of working on some sort of bracket for one of the rigging lines as Booker kind of notices you and nods and walks away for the minute.
After getting a moment, he's just going to look at Jelenith and be like, and Jelenith, might I inquire your opinion on a matter for a moment?
Sure thing, Sif.
Do you
Everything
remember
okay?
that? No, everything's fine, but do you remember that weapon I brought you before we began the journey?
Yeah, it's stashed away with my stuff. What's up?
We had Dikuth try and read it out, and he couldn't make sense of it, right?
Yep. Looks like to be similar to the book I have.
Sif's gonna kind of take a moment before he's gonna look and kind of take off the helmet actually and give you a look you in the eyes before he's gonna say, well, I think tonight we ought to take a little bit of a risk because where we're going we don't know what dangers may lurk. I discovered everything about this blade before I had Dikuth check it out. If you don't want to risk it, then I would ask that you, or at your opinion on such, watch over me as I sit with your weapon and try and discover what it is.
I'm
Or
sorry, what exactly do you want me to do with this?
I want you, if you're not willing, let me to sit with the weapon and, well, try and understand it. I didn't just sit with this weapon on my hip. I prayed, I bowed, I pushed what my essence was in it, and it, well, Tempest helped along the way. But I want to make sure that we're all on our strongest feet. And I got that with a good intention in mind. So I'd like to see it through.
I mean, sure, try it. Go for it. I mean, I've spent many nights, well, not many nights because you gave me just before the trip, but I spent many nights looking at this book, got nothing out of it. I've maybe spent a couple of hours with the bow, haven't got much out of it either. But if you think you can try it, go for it.
Hi. And just in case, and Sif is actually going to take a moment and start to unclip one of the two blades on his side, actually most notably the more pronounced one. And with two hands, he's actually going to offer it forward and say, temporarily, hold on to this in case. I can use any other blade just as well. and I can make this one on my hip as magically inclined as that one on a whim.
Wait, why am I holding on to these blades?
I want you to hold on to the Wrath of Tempest for the duration until we reach, well, where we're going. Just in case we have another encounter with pirates, beasts, or whatever this sea might throw at us.
So what are you going to use to fight if we get in the fight?
Well, I have another longsword, and Tempest is bestowed upon me the ability to make it just as magical as any other, well, commonplace weapon of the stature.
Okay, so then why do I have your longsword? I don't. I have my scimitar and my longbow.
Because we may be on separate sides of the ship, and I may not be able to imbue you on a moment's notice. Call it.
You're giving me a magical sword.
I'm giving you the Wrath of Tempest, the blade you've seen me wield, the one that you know has gone alight before.
Okay, sure. Sure.
And Sip's gonna then double check to make sure where the bow is before he's going to leave to go find it and take some time with it.
Alrighty. Gentlemen, if you have the bow.
Yes, it is
Alright.
the Stormlord bow
Yeah. So yeah,
from
actually,
Aeronel.
would you have to give it? You just probably give it to him then at that point, no?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, she hands it over and you accept it.
Oh, a little startled because she said it was stashed away.
No,
Okay.
just yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna carry all my stuff on me. That's ridiculous. I'm on a boat. I gotta move around. I gotta climb things.
Yeah, you guys are in your area, so she reaches down to where all your shit's stored.
More befitting then. Okay.
And what are you doing with it?
Sif is going to do pretty similar things that he did with the blade, where he's actually going to kind of sit and try and put a feel on it. He's actually going to take spend a spell slot to use detect good and evil to see if you can feel any prominence from the weapon.
Alright. 2 seconds.
He's gonna prey on it.
As you cast and pray for a minute, seeking the blessing of Tempest to detect if this object in and of itself is evil or good. You don't really necessarily get any sort of evil feeling or good feeling out of it. You do, however, just get a feeling where, as if you've been shocked by static electricity, and the hair on that arm seems to stand up on end.
Now you know why I want to got a masseuse.
And as you spend time with the object and you begin focusing on it, a similar way as you did to the sword that was gifted to you by Tempest, you focus and sweat begins beating on your brow as you've kneeled down at this point, and a moment flashes in your mind, bringing you right back to the rear of the ship when you heard an echoey laugh surround you. As you hear this, a familiar voice say, "You're not one of the ancient ones." And the almost somewhat grasp that you had to this bow is withdrawn immediately.
Sif is going to kind of feel a little startled at that and a little down. But after, if you keep trying probably for at least a day or two, trying any other variations, maybe even attempting to No, no, actually, no. Just he's just gonna try and keep trying with it for like another day or two before he's gonna probably bring it back to Jeleneth and
Yeah,
explain
and
what happened.
over
Oh,
and over again, each time as you would try, you would feel a similar start where you would feel your being begin to connect with this magical object, and then you'd hear once more this echoey laughter and the same phrase: "You're not one of the ancient ones, or you're not one of the old ones."
Try it. Try to string it. See what happens.
Um, Sif is after those couple days, he's gonna bring it back to Jeleneth and explain every single time that he tried what they said. Ancient one, old one,
Wait,
anything that might have possibly been
you heard a
something to clue
voice?
in. I I attempted to reach in with the blade, tune to it, I guess you could call it.
Um, I've never attempted that. I know that this bow or these kind of bows belong to the Arenal elves. They live pretty close to where I'm from. Kind of enemies, not. mm, we There's a history between us and them. It's kind of splitted apart in the past. Um, I
Is
didn't.
the war between the two of you noble or just? Or has it just been fought so long that you don't even know how long you fight or why you fight anymore?
It's not a war. It's more of a difference of values. I
Well,
mean,
I
the war
don't.
was fought aeons ago before I was even born, before my order was even found. It was more of a difference of opinions way back then when that split up the elves. I
Would that
mean,
mean? Well, I can tell you that attempting to has brought me no harm. I don't see many. I actually am kind of stiff, but it hasn't brought me any harm. So if you feel
all
safe,
right,
I would try it myself if I were you.
all right. I guess I'll try it later tonight then.
I, and then Sith is gonna kind of like haphazardly kind of like look towards your side before he's gonna kind of like walk away, almost in an uncomfortable walking, in an
Oh, do
uncomfortable
you want
walk.
your
Just
sword
like
back?
I said till the end of the journey, I'm a man of my word. And
Okay.
Stone keep walking.
As if you just get
Still
this
not sure what to do with the sword. So,
super longing just like pulling at the back of your chest as you walk away. But as the night goes on, Jelenith, you take some time with the bow.
yeah, I will try to find some solo time. Let's say, we'll say that I'm like trading positions with Lefty out on the bird's nest, just
Excellent.
because I have a pretty good perception as well. So, and I have night vision, so probably good for me at night.
You
I'll
notice
take some
that.
time up there by myself.
Sure, you notice that this is as you switch places, the deep, deep, deep sleep rings under uh, left-handed's eyes, as he probably hasn't left his post in a few days. But as you trade places, you go up to the crow's nest, and what do you do up there?
Before he goes, I'll hand him my water skin, which has a little bit of elven wine in it, and say, just get some sleep.
Thank you. And he heads
All
down.
right, so I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna sit cross-legged. I'm gonna hold the. I'm gonna have the bow sitting across my lap. I'm going to examine it again from end to end, running my fingers across the different runes and the different curvatures and the different markings that's on the bow.
All right.
Um, and I
And
feel that, kind of like that little static the entire time,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So as you begin tracing over the glyphs and all the pictures, you notice that it is starts forming into a coherent story in your mind as you focus on the bow. And the bow itself tells you a story of a young elf on his first hunt and successfully taking down his first deer. Um, it's a beautiful and gorgeously done bow with many intricate details. And as you focus closer and closer, you suddenly find yourself standing without even realizing why or how you began to stand. And somewhat in a Yu-Gi-Oh esque inspired manner, where electricity starts sparking around you, and you feel this blue aura energy surround you. Um, you feel that same electricity that sparked through your body and stiffened your muscles go through the entirety of your body before it releases into the ground, and your body feels ecstatic and wonderful, not tense and locked up like it did before. And the glyphs shift on the bow, and you suddenly are able to read the story now.
I read I read the story.
And here you go. Basically, the story goes on saying that one day, to save his father from starvation, a young elf went out into the forest, and meeting one of his forest friends that he had grew up with, instead of taking it down with the bow, um, I'm sorry, instead of taking it down with a knife or whatever, the doe ran away and was taken down by the bow from afar, and the elf sadly used the body of his friend to his the deer to feed his father. Um, and there's the handout for you.
I see it. Wow. Oh man, this would have been real good before we got into this fight, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. And as your eyes glow from this, you do notice that there is what looks like a small, like thin, tiny lightning bolt like bowstring. It sparks and shivers in the air.
it's a it's a wizard bow. uh, um, can I can I take a look at my current longbow? Look at the string and test it real quick. Is it still like sturdy of a string?
Your bow?
Yeah, my current longbow.
Yeah.
I take that string off and I start trying to string the stormload bow, or the arrow bow.
As you begin, it seems to go fine. You attach it at the top, but as soon as you lock it into the bottom, the lightning string seems to wrap around it and it disappears.
I do a couple of test pluck. Oh no, the string is gone, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because this bow requires a special. Any attempt to try and string it destroys the string or something, right? So I just I'm gonna try something weird. I don't. Is there like a piece of like wood around me or anything like that? Just like a free flowing wood or anything? Because I don't have my arrows on me.
Yeah. There's little pieces of wood all over from
Okay.
leftover projects that you've been doing.
Okay, I'm gonna try something really weird. I'm gonna take one of those pieces of wood and then I'm gonna kind of put it up to the bow where a string would be, and I'm gonna try and draw the bow.
As you put it up where it is, you feel your fingers pluck around, and actually the lightning string has resistance, and you feel it pulsate as you pull it itself back, and you see this long arcing curve of lightning in a bowstring arc as it's pulled back.
Oh, motherfucker. uh, and then I'm aim it up into the clouds and take a shot.
You see it rocket out. Are you Oh yeah, you can't hit anything, so.
Right, but I imagine like it looks like there's a small electrical
Oh
charge
yeah,
on it or something.
the arrow, well, the arrow, quote unquote, itself, I'm sorry. It rockets out of the bow and you do see that like the end of it is like on fire and sparking as it sails quickly out into out of distance and eyesight.
Huh. I'm gonna take a quick look around to see if anybody saw that.
Yeah, a lot of people on the deck are staring at you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sif is clapping his gauntleted hands.
Yeah, you all just saw Jellenith draw back with no string attached to this bow, and as the second she pulled it back, this lightning arced string was in her hands, and she fired this projectile out that seemed to spark away as it flew away.
Where did we get that?
We're all
I bought
good.
it.
All good. uh, extremely giddy and extremely energetic from both just the excitement and from the bow. Um, I'm I'm going to sit up here because it's now my duty to be on watch.
Yep.
I'm gonna just marvel over this bow because I've heard about it. I've never actually seen it in action until now,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna take my watch.
All right. Excellent. And it goes by pretty simply, safe. Nothing to really worry about. You don't really see anything. You do notice that the island of what you call it? I already forgot the name of it.
Wasn't it Lark or something like that?
Lyricon.
Laricon.
Laricon.
Thank you.
There we go.
Laricon passes, and you notice that it is actually interesting looking. From this direction, you notice that it is somewhat of a horseshoe shape of an island. What appeared to have been two islands is actually one giant one connected by the end at a horseshoe. There's a large entrance of body of water into somewhat of a gulf. And as your night passes, you are excited. Give me an intelligence check, actually, Jelena.
Oh boy.
You you're just going over the bow and looking at it and admiring it when you realize that those glyphs were the same in the book.
Yeah, I connect the picture together, but I'm not gonna look through the book as I'm sitting up here on
Sure.
as on watch. I'll do that on a when I'm not on watch.
And you realize that even though you've now connected to the bow, it still feels like it's drawing you to it.
Did I hear a voice at all when I attuned to this thing?
No, you did not.
No voice.
No voice.
So I just think Sif is completely crazy.
That is up to you, but sure. And as the night passes, and the days pass, and eventually weeks pass, unless anybody else would like to do anything.
Yeah, actually.
Sure.
During one of the nights, I would like to volunteer for watch, and I would like to go up into the crow's nest. And I sit down and I take off my shirt and I pull out Char's touch, and I turn it and sort of like press the blade to my chest until I can feel it sort of like thumping in time with my heartbeat. And I push it in just enough to draw a little bit of blood, and then I pull it away and wait for it to drip down my chest, and I speak out into the night and I say, "Who is the Red Knight?"
And you watch as the blood once again seems to, in drips, drift away from you, and it begins collecting in points, and you notice that the points begin blotting out the stars in the sky. And as they make up these points, it makes a face that suddenly into existence. A pale face, a sharp face, a beautiful face. And as she stares at you, she watches you for a moment before leaning forward and placing her hand on your chest. Oh, my dear. And you feel just a sudden warmth take over your body as the wound you made rapidly closes up. I knew this day would come. The Red Knight. Well, some would say she's the daughter of Tempest. Others, like myself, would say she's a loyal bitch to Saloon.
And I sort of smile and I look up at her and I say, so do you think the vessel can be turned? Or should I get rid of it also?
What do you think, my dear boy?
One way is easier than the other, but I think you'd rather have another bird under your wing. And I smile at her.
You see, even as you smile, her own smile widens, and it makes your heart ache seeing this smile. Just absolute love and adoration fills your soul. And she looks at you with this smile and she says, I believe you're right. Keep watch on him.
I will.
Tempest is wild. That is why your people love him. Just last night, he attempted to overthrow the Queen of the Depths.
Then he is more foolish than the one who follows the Red Knight.
I don't know if he follows the Red Knight specifically. Maybe you'll have to find out more about that. From what I found out, I didn't even know the Red Knight was involved here.
Well, now you do. That's what I'm here for. To bring you whatever you need to know.
I want to know all of it.
And I sort of like start to reach up to touch her face, but then I hesitate. And I just sort of bow my head and I say, I will bring you everything.
She leans into your hand gently taking the softest cheek you've ever felt in your life. The sharp cheekbones gently, gently out of your reach of your fingertips. She pulls back. Do well, and everything falls into place. Trust me on this one.
I bow to her before she leaves.
She does the finger thing with your chin.
Yeah.
And picks you up and she winks at you. Stay naughty, my darling. And she falls back off the boat and just disappears.
Thank you.
All right, give me a minute. Sorry, I gotta make notes to my stuff now. All right, excellent. So days pass. You guys, those of you who haven't spent much time on the water, may be starting to get sick of the monotony and the day in day out sunlight beating down on you, as well as just the ever constant rocking of the ship. And at this point, it's pretty hard to tell what day it is. As you guys most likely have lost track, but above you, you hear once again the groveled hiss of left-handed say out, Lando. And Gray rushes out from the cabin and takes out his seeing glass. And those of you who would like, who may have sharper vision, can give me a perception check if you'd like.
Is it daytime?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, then actually, never mind. It would have been 14.
19.
Oh
13.
yeah.
Unlucky twins, Atris.
All right.
Wow.
Bjolf, Jelleneth, you both immediately see in a dense, dark jungle. This, as far away as it is still from you, you do notice that the sandy beaches immediately are stopped by this dense, thickly thickly shrouded jungle. And I should have mentioned this a little earlier. You guys have noticed that it has getting a lot hotter. The days have gotten long, and the sun has beaten down on you continuously, as well as just the general humidity and temperature rising. And Jelen and Bjolf, you see just this widely dense jungle alongside what looks to be a gulf that curves around the side of it. For the rest of you, the most of you just see just a jungle that is hard to pick apart where it begins and where it ends. It's very luscious and very crowded. And Gray closes his looking piece and turns to you. That's Maztica. Right? Left-handed. And you all look up as the tabaxi peers over with his head and just nods. So, what did you want to do again? Where did you want to land? How did you want to do this?
Well,
You're right. We never showed him the map.
well, original thoughts had been perhaps there might not be a perfect place, to dock or sail up. So dropping us off might have been an option. But how is the hole that was underneath the ship?
And Gray turns towards Booker, who steps forward, taking off his hat. It'll hold if we can figure out how to get the top backside of the ship out of water for a few hours. I can fix it. So I think if we get as close to sand or whatever as possible, I really can do it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold my breath continuously. So,
And there's far too few manpower to beach the ship, correct?
unless you have a way of moving the ship off.
Not first thought, but then again, first time at this.
We're lucky. The rock they flung is in a shape that it literally is vacuumed into the hole that we've created, and me and Jelenith have patched up what was remaining. So the little bit of water that leaks in, we have prepared buckets and such for. So I don't think we're going to be having a problem, but if we take any sort of damage there, or if the waters get rough again, we might have a problem. And then he puts his hat back on and steps back. All right.
I think
Nope.
we wanted the west side of the island if possible.
That's probably fine. The Gulf will probably be more calm anyways. Maybe there's sandbars we can find that we can rig up some sort of interesting thing. We'll figure that out. Just tell me where you want to land, and I'll get you there. I'll probably get as close, and then we'll send a boat with you.
Or I could cast a spell. We could walk across the water.
Oh, that too, I guess.
Well, according to the maps, we want to potentially get in between what appears to be a channel.
Can I see? Can I see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You haven't seen the map yet. Eric has, though. Eric was going to tell, well, the captain, which I guess is not you. So.
I kind of forgot. It slipped to the back of my mind. I apologize.
Yeah. So I show him the maps.
All right, and he begins going over it, and you point out that kind of gulf entrance that you pointed out to Eric before, and he says, simple enough. We should be there within a couple of hours, so get whatever you need ready, and whatever you're about to do.
Coolio.
Alright, and then unless there's anything else you guys are going to do, the few hours kind of seem to drag by as you're finally 40 some days later, roughly on the sea, barely surviving in a pirate attack, and barely surviving the storm after. Through cunning and working together, you're able to make it. Excuse me, I apologize. And as the few hours drag past, the sails are brought down early, and the ship is brought to a halt about 100, let's say 500 feet out from the beach. And as you all stand at the side of the boat looking, you just stare into the heart of a lively, dark jungle. Trees and canopies rising above to hide the sunlight, massive ferns and every sort of plant and vegetation, some that you've never seen or heard of, in wild purples, pinks, and lime greens, interesting oranges, all sorts of colors, and just the cacophony of animal noises coming out of this jungle. I'm sorry, Sif, if you could repeat that again.
Oh no, I accidentally hit the Z button. That wasn't. I'm good.
That seems like a dangerous time.
Wait, did
Seems like our kind of place.
Sif is already going to wipe his brow. Actually, literally take the helmet off and wipe some sweat.
And the crew has gotten to work bringing it up, and Gray walks over to you, Bjolf, and says, so are you casting that spell, or do you need the boat?
No, I can cast it. And I sort of get.
Hey,
Kovash jumps in and says, "But what if we don't have time for you to cast it on the way back?
I was also gonna say, what if you're not there on our way back?
Are you coming with
Wait,
us?"
yeah, are you going with them, Bjolf?
Yes, I have a mind to make sure they get back safely.
Oh.
And you see
okay.
Katra kind of like light up and smile, like, my friend's coming.
Oh no.
Kovash narrows his eyes.
Sif, Sif actually? Can I take an insight check?
Sure. What are you inciting specifically, though?
The sudden the I have a turn to make sure they make it back
Got you.
safely.
Go ahead. It's hard to tell. The emotions of Bjolf rarely change. His face is always kind of set in a grim, determined look, and you're really unable to tell otherwise, other than he seems to be interested in coming along.
How many boats do we have on the ship? Is it just the one or is there two?
There's two.
Okay, so if we took this one, the crew can still take the other one if they need to abandon the ship.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry, I'm not gonna lie, but I wouldn't give you the last one.
Yeah, no, that's
You're
fine.
500 feet. You can swim that, I think. Maybe not you.
I
Maybe
rather
said Sif.
And
Uh,
Sif will actually kind of look over towards Jelenith and hold a hand out. We've reached the end. I'd very much like it back, please.
oh, is this the end of the journey then?
This is I said until we reach Maztica.
I mean, you said journey. Those are your words, but here's your
Originally, the
sword.
phrasing was Maztica. The secondary
All right,
was that.
all right.
But
Gray
no,
leans
please
o-
don't make me semantics.
Gray leans over your shoulder, Sif, and he says, "I think she's fucking with you."
And
I gave Gray a wink.
Sif, you can't tell that Sif is like getting his ears are hot right now, but you can't tell because the helmet.
And he
And after,
turns you around and he says, "Hey, good luck. Tempest guide you. Stay safe."
and Sif will actually kind of reach up, kind of kind of almost look like he's actually gonna grab him, like almost like he's gonna reach up and take him by the side of the face, a caress, before he's actually gonna kind of like jump and pull his head back and give him a nice headbutt.
And Gray will probably instinctually just headbutt you back, and you both are, ugh. Yeah.
Man,
Kovash snorts.
Well, good luck to you all. Make it back. Bring us back treasure.
yeah. I reach out to Bjorf and like Bjorf, I appreciate you willing to come with us. That's actually really great. And I your idea of water walking, that's really good. But I think it would be better if we took the boat. Just
I've,
don't want to waste any
I,
spells.
I've already accepted that we're going in the boat. You don't need to talk me into it.
Oh, we did. Did that happen? I thought you were still planning to use your spell.
No, you said it would. Uh, someone
Okay.
insinuated I might die, so I'm good with using the boat.
Yeah. Yep.
And he
Plus,
just walks over and
just
gets into the boat.
Sif just kind
Kovash
of has to
has
kind of like give
been in
like
the
one of those
boat
not
for
like
like
side
10
nods,
minutes.
like yeah, yeah.
Right. So you all climb down the ladder into the boat.
Dikuth, you ready for
Yeah.
another adventure?
Always.
Please don't lose anybody on this adventure.
Please let this be a normal field trip.
As you all begin pushing away from the boat, you notice that the crew is waving at you as you begin to push away.
I wave back.
After a few minutes of this rowing, um, Kovash is easily able to power to the shore, and you all get out, soggy feet through the few feet of water that you have to make it, and pull the boat ashore. As you reach the white sandy beaches of Maztica.
Should we camouflage the boat?
Is there anything to camouflage the boat with?
There's a jungle.
Yeah, so you want us to what? Gather a bunch of leaves, bring it back over here and cover it on a white beach that has no other jungle parts on it?
I don't know. I don't think we should just leave it out in the open.
We could bury it.
That would also then mean we have to unbury it.
I mean, sure.
It would also mean we'd have to bury it. If you want to bury a boat that fits 3 people in it, you be my guest.
Why don't we just pull the boat into the tree line?
Yeah, we can do that. There's 6 of us. 6 of us. Sorry, I had to redo my math real quick.
I'm
There's 6
pretty
of us.
sure
We
me
can.
and Sif can carry the boat.
Hey DM, what's the weather like? So it's gonna actually just kind of like taking a moment to take like the scenery, the weather,
The
how
sun,
everything's feeling.
the sun is beating down on you. It feels like it's probably 80 degrees Fahrenheit, plus with a lot of humidity in the air. The sky is clear and the sun is very bright,
So tropical.
very tropical.
Is there a breeze?
Not at the moment.
There's at least lake effect.
Okay. I'm gonna take a moment and kind of look through the sand and see if I can't see any tracks of anything that I would not recognize at all, or anything within our general immediate vicinity.
Give me an investigation check.
Kovash is gonna keep an eye on the tree line for anything that might be watching.
Give me a perception check.
Oof.
Dikuth is looking around for any fish in the shallows of the water.
You. It's not really. There's not really a lot of tracks in the sand, but it's still even with arrow, it's still easy enough to notice that there is one set of tracks that curves across the sand and then enters into the jungle 20 feet away from you, and it's odd. It looks like 4 cat-like prints, and then there's a long ribbed line that follows in the middle of it and snakes behind it.
Hmm.
Kovash, it's kind of hard to tell. A lot of it seems to darken extremely right after the front of the forest entrance, but you don't really see anything. You do get an uneasy feeling though, like you are being watched.
Dark vision, just FYI.
Right.
Jelenith. And so it's gonna call towards Jelenith and beckon for her to come over here, and actually is gonna direct her towards the spot, towards the tracks. I think I found something.
Can I make a what does this be? A survival check to,
You
to
could do
understand what the
survival
prints
or
are?
nature if you would like.
Survival. That's a better roll.
You would swear that this is some sort of large cat, but you have no idea what kind or what would ever make an imprint like that with the line behind it.
With a line behind it. How wide are the tracks? Or the individual prints? How wide are the prints?
Around draft horse size.
Jesus.
That's it's fucking huge.
And the
Yep.
claws you see that there are individual like the pricks after the toes go out probably 5 to 7 inches after the toe ends.
I'm gonna do something really crazy that everyone's probably gonna look at me weird.
Oh,
I'm going.
hold on. As you continue along that, I apologize to interrupt, but you do have more information. Um, as you continue following this path, you get to the tree line where it enters, and you kind of lose it, and you notice something odd on one of the leaves that seems to be right off the path of where this went. It seems like there's a small four-fanged bite mark in the branch or in the leaf, and a small viscous like fluid seems to be dried next to the bite.
Um,
And this bite, I should say, is much smaller than what you ever would think that this draft horse sized animal would make. Much,
so a
much
large
smaller.
footprint, small bite.
Like, I'm talking. Give me a nature check, actually.
Yeah, good rolls
This is
tonight,
a
guys.
snake
Good
bite.
rolls.
For some
Nice.
reason, this snake had clamped down on this leaf, and that's venom.
Kevin, the player, has an idea of what this is.
Austin, the player, is pretty sure, but
Jalanoff is gonna do something weird. All right, and in the footprint or in the paw prints, I'm gonna take a little bit of like the dirt or the sand, whatever, and then I'm just going to taste it. Do I taste any kind of like iron in it? Like basically, I'm trying to figure out if if this creature has recently killed something, or if it's
Ah,
on the hunt for, or if it's dry enough that it's looking for the
um,
next food victim.
the sand itself does not taste of any blood or anything. It does taste dry and extremely musky. That even this scent is. It reminds you of um uh. It reminds you of a jaguar. The
Yep, I know
musk.
what those are.
It reminds you of a jaguar musk. However, the scent is heavier and seems to just linger with this nasty, sharp, bitter taste.
And there's four sets, right?
There's four paw prints, yeah.
Oh,
So
four
there's
paw
just
prints. Okay,
one. Yeah, I apologize.
okay, okay. All right, guys. So here's what we got. We got a large cat-like creature. Oddly tastes like a panther, but the prints are much bigger than a panther. Plus, these back dragon prints are weird. And then what looks to be like a snake bite. So, does anybody know anything about a four-legged snake creature?
Can we roll for this?
yeah, has Sif ever read anything of some variety?
Did
You
you just
all.
describe a dragon, Jelneth?
I think I kind of just did.
Sif just kind of tilts
Dragons
his head
are
as like,
four-legged
huh?
lizards,
Well,
snakes.
Hold on.
but dragons have more than four fangs. This
Well,
there
we've
was like a
taken on
four-fang bite, so it's
snakes.
definitely more of a snake than a lizard. Dragons are more
Well,
lizard-like.
we've taken on dragons, so snake doesn't really worry me.
You guys can give me. I'm sorry. I'm looking up something real quick. You guys can either give me a nature check or an arcana check.
Ooh.
For the love of Satan.
Ah, damn it. I was like, religion, 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 religion. Ah.
Um,
Yeah, Bjolf, you like nature more than me. You go, Bjolf.
all right, if no one else
That
is
was just
rolling, Bjolf, this is something that sounds familiar to one of your mistress's favorite pets.
oh
Um,
no.
they're commonly referred to as displacer beasts.
Yeah,
Oh
that's what I
no.
thought.
Oh, that
However,
is what I thought.
however, you realize after a second that displacer beasts, from what you know, don't have any sort of snake or bite attached like that.
So I kind of look at the prince and I just kind of narrow my eyes. It almost looks like a displacer beast, but I've never seen one that can make venom before.
Cool. Do you know how to make antitoxin or anti venom?
I can cast a spell that protects from poison.
Oh, that works.
So, what is it that you're all doing now after you've discovered this?
Do we know where on the island we are?
Roughly.
Not yet.
Roughly, you could guess. From the shape of where you guys landed, you did pull into the Gulf.
Okay.
How far into the Gulf?
You pulled into the Gulf and then pulled into the first in-way in.
So, like, right near the Red X.
Yeah.
Perfect. And we can tell that.
Yeah, you sort of guess from seeing the map and the layout of the land now, that it's pretty obvious that you are where you intended to go.
I guess we just gotta go in and be on guard.
Catra looks a little trepidatious.
All right.
All right. Is the water here fresh or is it salty?
It's
Is it
salty.
The
seawater?
ocean.
It's salty. It's
Okay.
seawater.
Hella salty.
So what are you all doing?
All right. I recommend we do not follow the tracks.
I
Which
say
direction
we
do we need to
I
head?
second that.
we need to head roughly eastward.
Which way do
Maybe
the tracks lead?
eastward because they go into the jungle.
From where you are, yeah, they do roughly lead in the same direction.
Well, unfortunate, Jeleneth.
There's
I
only
think our
really
best
one
bet
direction
is
to go
to.
into the jungle.
I know.
Sip's gonna
Fuck.
draw his blade and brandish his
Yep.
shield and kind of like get into a frontal point and say, "Well, let's get a plan and venture in. Eyes open, everybody."
I
Kovash
think I
draws
should
his
probably
sword.
lead this.
Dikuth just starts walking.
I
Whoa,
do
whoa,
second
whoa,
that,
whoa.
but if anything, you should probably just stay right behind and direct me the way you can, as best as you can. That way, I can at least shield you from the front in case.
Oh, no, no, no. I need to track the tracks to make sure we're not following the tracks. And I cannot do that from behind you. So
Even
I am
much
I am
better
going to
idea
lead
actually
this.
than. Fair enough. My apologies.
But do stay close. And we're going to head into the jungle to try and find this shrine.
Alrighty. Go ahead And give me a survival check, please.
Uh, so
So
technically, jungle doesn't fall under favorite terrain, but I do have forest as my favorite terrain.
Yes. Jungle is pretty much a forest of a different environment.
Yeah, but jungle doesn't fall under like a type of terrain, so I wouldn't know if. So I don't know if this would actually,
Oh
if like
no,
forest
yeah,
would
I
count or
count
not.
it as forests.
Oh, cool. Okay.
it's a wild forest, a cold
It's
forest.
a
It's a
hot
forested area.
ass forest.
Okay. So
It's
that
a
means my
wet
yeah.
forest.
There you go.
So that means my
Wet
proficiency
forest.
bonus is doubled with this. So this is actually going to be 25 plus 3, so 28.
Damn, nice. And then the rest of you, I'm going to need Constitution saving throws.
Oh
Everybody,
shit.
actually, including you, Jonah.
Got
Oh,
it.
goody.
Bam!
Nice.
Beefcake elf.
Get at me,
Austin,
bro.
you're
Boom,
not
there you
rolling
go.
well.
Cut
No,
at the
you're
knees.
rolling okay.
Get good with the dice, bud.
Alrighty. So you all travel into begin your journey into the jungle, and Sif, you notice right away that yes, the trees of the jungle do give you some respite from the direct contact of the sun. However, as soon as you enter, you realize how much more stuffy and just overwhelmingly humid it is inside your armor. And as you travel, you begin falling to the back of the group, sweating and just water pouring off of you as you suffer an exhaustion point.
Ooh!
And as you're struggling back there, Dikuth kind of gives you a cheeky smile and a thumbs up, and you feel a little bit more inspired.
As the rest of you all kind of look and are sweating to some degree, you've been drinking your water, and most of you aren't as heavily armored as Sif, but you do notice that continuing through this jungle for hours on end will eventually erode your constitution, and just eventually you'll have heat exhaustion. However, after traveling through the jungle for a few hours, um, hold on 1 second. Yeah, after traveling for a few hours, you begin noticing several ruined architectural buildings spread throughout the jungle. At first, there's a pillar overgrown with moss and other plant-like vegetation. Then there's an archway, and as you continue on, whoever's leading can go ahead and give me a perception check, please.
That would be me. 14. Oh no, wait. Uh 17 because we are technically in my favorite terrain.
You are picking your way through and guiding your party through the jungles. When you come and you've noticed several of these things, so you feel like you've stumbled across something. When you stop at this hilltop that sharply descends, and what you see is an enormous, gigantic valley that spreads out across miles and miles of terrain. And there at the center of this valley is this completely toppled and almost completely covered in undergrowth ruined city that spreads out before you. The architecture is stone and clay. It's very Aztecan and Mayan in nature, mixing the cultures together to bring odd temples here and there with flat topped buildings, all parked into a tightly packed area, but all of them seem to have been overgrown and collapsed. And all of these all seem to be surrounded in a giant circle leading to a great pyramid, which also seems to be starting to be overgrown as well.
Well, I think we found where we're trying to head.
Yeah, looks like a shrine.
Upward and onward.
I think we have to go down. It's in a valley, bud.
Onward and forward.
All right. You all continue down. I'm going to ask that as you take another hour, that I'm going to require another Constitution saving throw, please. As Sif begins to more and more fall to the back.
Thank you for that bardic inspiration, Daniel, but unfortunately it only lasts 10 minutes.
Oh no.
It only lasts
Damn
10
it.
minutes, unfortunately.
You're right. I forgot about that.
You're good. Ugh.
Every single one of you now feels the abnormal heat beating down on you.
Oh,
As
wait.
you all feel your mouths dry and the sweat begin pouring down your skin. All of you take an exhaustion point.
Ew.
Sif, you take a second exhaustion point.
Half speed.
Not yet. Oh, wait, no, yeah, it's the half speed, and then the ability checks. Oof. Sif is
Well-
going to pipe up and. Okay.
What time of day is it by the time we get to the bottom of this hill?
It is nearing the end of probably daytime, so probably 4:30 ish, roughly.
Jelena,
We
the
should take-
tracks.
Oh yeah, do the tracks lead to this area at all?
No, the tracks had separated and turned southward about halfway here.
Okay.
Uh,
We should probably break for camp. But I recommend we do not break camp at the bottom of a hill.
Nay, and come here, Jonathan. And Sip's going to be sure on this, because he thinks this would be the best course of action, he's going to cast a second level spell slot and cast Lesser Restoration on Jonathan to remove that point of exhaustion and state, "We need your eyes and your mind at full capacity."
Isn't
And is holding himself up and shuddering.
isn't it greater to remove exhaustion point?
I believe the lesser could remove one. I might be wrong. I'm sorry if I remembered it.
Beof, can't you make
Yeah, it has to be greater.
water?
Shit, my bad.
You can take
Then-
that back.
First up.
You would know that, or Sif would know that.
Slip it a fucking tick.
Yeah, greater.
It's okay. I got this.
Beof?
I mean, we want water and food, but
So,
Yes.
whoever would like to find a place to camp can give me a survival or an investigation check. I assume that's you, Jelena. And you can take, what you call it, because this is your favorite terrain.
favorite terrain just give me double proficiency.
Yeah, so take that.
I'm also a hermit.
What are you doing, Beof? And who said they're her?
I was just gonna
Oh.
help because I've got pretty high
Oh,
survival.
Yeah, sure. So with the help of Dikuth and Bjolf, who have helped you before, go ahead and choose either survival or nature.
25.
Alrighty.
Not a girl.
It takes you probably 20 minutes of traveling before you hear the slight trickle of some sort of water. And as you head towards it, you notice that there is what seems to be an easily defended glade with a small spring running through it that seems big enough for you all to set up camp.
Good. I think this is a pretty good place to set up for the night.
All right. So you all go about setting up camp, eating your food, whatever it is you normally do at night. Um, is there anything specifically any of you would like to accomplish? Otherwise,
Oops, wrong thing. I'm gonna set up an alarm.
alrighty.
Ritual cast that shit. I'm gonna set up. I'm gonna set up alarm around every single opening leading into our area, just so that way I can get an idea of if anything trips.
Yeah. As you are all, and you're easily enough set up your alarm around where you're all staying. Um, seems kind of perfectly fit for it. It is a small little area, um, and you eventually do take your rest. I assume you all set up a watch of some kind. Um, however, throughout the night, Bjolf, as you're
Yeah.
sleeping or attempting to get sleep, your body is constantly racked with chills and pain, and your mind races through darkness, followed by moonlight, followed by darkness, followed by a singular item that consistently sticks out to you throughout the night. Um, it your vision always kind of returns back to it, even after the darkness blinds you and the moonlight gives you light blindness. You see this hand mirror.
A what?
A hand mirror. It's
Oh.
platinum and it's beautifully made with intricate designs along the handle, flaring along the bottom as well. And you see yourself turning it, and as you gaze into it, your mistress appears and stares back, and then you wake up, and it's morning.
Ah,
The rest of you, your night passes uneventfully, and those of you who took an exhaustion point can remove one.
Ugh.
What is it you would like to do as the day is yours?
Before we head out, we fill up all of our water skids with
Excellent
clean
idea.
water.
Excellent idea.
Correctamundo.
Actually, let me check if it is clean water. I'll use wild cunnings to
Yeah,
see
you know
if that's clean water.
you know it's clean. It's actually you can see pretty clearly just looking at it. It's clean water.
Well, I mean, you can do the same thing in Hawaii, but there's also
Sure.
runoff
I
bacteria.
would like
so
to
you
cast
never
detect
know.
poison and disease on said water and
There
use
is
no,
it
no,
as
I can
ritual.
ritual no.
poison or disease. There is no anything. It is clean drinking water. It is an artisanal, free flowing spring.
Kovash gets in the spring.
It's
spring.
no longer clean.
I mean, after everyone grabs their water skin.
Actually, it's probably all right because Kovash has been in a lot of water lately.
So he's probably just washing off the grime and salt from the
Yeah.
sea.
Oh, so now the water's all salty. Good.
All right. So you all are done, ate your breakfast, and done your morning meditations or whatever it is that you're normally required to do, and the day is yours.
All right, shall we head towards the big giant
All right.
pyramid? Is that what those
Sure.
things are called?
What are we looking for
Yeah,
again?
it's one of
What
those
do we hear?
tiered pyramids. You know where um here,
Like
Yeah,
Mayan
we're gonna.
yeah,
pyramid.
exactly
Yeah.
like that.
A step pyramid.
Except it's
It
a
goes.
giant one. The city seems minuscule around it. But as you guys walk, The day does seem to be lighter. There is a nice breeze now coming across the branches. It's much cooler, and the air seems to be lighter. And as you walk through the day, it seems to be that there is no problem with overheating. However, as you head towards the Pyramid Temple after entering the city, you tread across cracked and overgrown flagstones, stepping over fallen and shattered pillars, pushing aside vines and briars. You see nobody. It seems odd. There's broken pots and molded food, and very little movement. However,
No bones at all from like previous things.
not that you can see. There doesn't seem to be any source of life, for that matter, whatsoever, except for
No insects, no birds or anything
nope,
like that either.
just the overgrown vines and briars and trees and everything seems to be the only life in this area. Um,
Guys, something seems off. There's no insects.
At the exact motion of that, Sith is going to uh, let's start to cast Detect Good and Evil,
all right.
or even good.
As you focus your attention to Tempest to sort out those that may be good or of an evil nature, or any place that may be consecrated, there's nothing. And it's odd. It's not even there's nothing. It's just an absence of anything.
Okay, I'll hold concentration of that for the next 10 minutes while we push forward, but I immediately am going to state it's very empty.
Yeah, hang out. Let me add something to that. I will use a first level spell slot to use my primeval awareness.
Alrighty.
So anything in 6 miles, if anything within 6 miles for up to a minute, that is aberration, celestial, dragons, elementals, fey, fiends, and or undead.
You're gonna have to give me a second.
Yep,
6 miles is a long area.
it is, and you can hold it for up to 1 minute, and you can usually walk about what is it, 30 feet, just 30 feet per
You
every
can
six
cover
seconds.
about 100 yards.
Joneth, your
Yeah.
mind for a second kind of blurs and is in immediate pain as you just begin to hear, even in your head, you hear just ping, 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 as everywhere around you, you get these feelings of all sorts of creatures.
Uh, w- See, I don't. The ability is vague enough that doesn't quite tell you if you would know what type of creatures.
You notice every single type except for dragon.
Oh no.
Oh shit! Instantly, I'm like, guys, there's a lot of things here. A lot of things.
Well, it is a forest.
None of them
mean,
are close enough to you that you would seem like you're in immediate danger. The closest is maybe a mile away, and most of them seem to be down.
Okay,
for the
guys.
record, we're looking for a tree, right?
No, I'm looking for a tree, which is usually underground. We're looking for an entrance, which I'm guessing is the top of this temple to get into it, at least according to the other map.
Hmm?
But I am sensing a lot of different type of creatures. No dragons. Sorry, guys. You can't fight a second dragon, I guess. But I am sensing a lot of undeads, a lot of fiends, um, fey creatures, um, ghost-like creatures, uh, godlike creatures, and primordial-like creatures.
You know, with you saying that, I'm actually kind of glad you didn't find any draconic things.
Yeah,
Well, as long as there's no dragons here, Dikuth is in.
Well, if they're all out there, then I guess we'd better get in that pyramid as quick as possible.
no. They're not out there. They're below us. I think this temple goes underneath the entire ruins, and there are a
And
lot of
Sif
them down there.
and Sif will kind of look over and say, "Well, we do have that map that shows a rough inside. I think that is a very safe assumption considering uh, the lower section seems to go far underneath the forest, at least on the map.
Yeah, we need to be extra careful exploring this place.
And we should probably plan to make sure we have a way out. Let's remember what happened to those to the women in Kundrapar. We don't want to be caught up in something we don't want to be found in.
Right. Can we make an agreement right now that if at any time during this exploration that any one of us wants to pull out, we pull out.
I'm on board.
This has to be a group decision.
I mean, as far as I can tell, you're the only one with a reason to be here, Jelena.
So far, yeah. I mean, there's treasure for you guys. There's a potential tree that I'm gonna go destroy, maybe.
And a test for me.
But I do sense a lot of things under. We need to be extremely careful. I don't know if they're all aggressive. So,
Allow me one alteration because I almost wholeheartedly agree. There's six of us, yes? One person speaks out and states that we should leave. If two more should agree, we do. That's equal, that's 50. If two at the same time should call out that we leave, there is no vote. We leave immediately. One of
Agreed.
us may get startled and one of us may just need a little bit of reassurance. If we settle it to just one, we may never get any progress done. We may never find your tree. I may never take my test, and we may never find no treasure. But I want the safety net as much as possible. As you said, this is a group decision. If no one agrees to this, then I agree to if one states, then we leave.
I agree with Sif. I didn't come all this way to back out because one person gets cold feet.
I
That
also
sounds
agree.
reasonable to me.
That's fair.
Bjork?
Yo, well,
I just decided to tag along. I will come along with the majority of you.
Well, I think you're kind of more the insurance policy to make sure that we come back with treasure.
Yeah, let's call it that.
All
I
right.
mean, we already paid them. We don't owe them any more treasure.
Yeah.
they took risks for us, and we're taking risks for them. If we have excess, they may get more.
All
But
right. I think the entrance up ahead. So let's climb.
do we want
Kovash starts
Hold.
going at that.
As you guys begin
Let's go.
Endless
heading back
stairs.
towards the temple,
Endless stairs.
the overgrown nature of the city begins falling away the closer you get to the temple. When you're nearly at the temple to start climbing the stairs, you all hear a loud snap, crack. The sound of creatures crashing through the underbrush comes from behind you, and as you all whip and turn around to see people moving through the woods towards the clearing around the pyramid, you all gasp as suddenly the earth shudders and gapes open beneath your feet, and suddenly you're all falling amid the roar of collapsing masonry. Dust
Shit.
fills the air.
Ah!
Dust fills the air, and the sunlight disappears as the
I
darkness
touch
swallows
myself.
you.
Oh.
I forgot to say check for traps, didn't I?
You touch yourself,
Fuck.
Patch?
I touch myself and cast fly.
All right.
Ah, good. Glad you
You
finished
all,
that.
the rest of you, land in a heap of rock, armor, and each other, besides Katra, on a hard floor. You all take
Damn, I forgot to say check for traps. Ugh.
6 points of bludgeoning damage, except for
Uh,
you, Katra.
While they land painfully, do I see anything around that might look menacingly or
Yeah, just give me. I will answer that in 2 seconds. Because I'm going to
Map
shift
change.
maps
Heavy armor master for the win. Extra cushion.
While you are wearing heavy armor, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage that you take from non magical weapons is reduced by 3.
Never mind, the full 6.
No, it's 5 points, so you take 2.
No, because
not
it's
a
not from
weapon.
a weapon.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it's
Unlike
5.
Misread.
rage.
Oh, no, it was 6, right? 6. Okay, never mind.
Also, it doesn't just reduce it by half. It's
Right.
reduced by 3. Up to a... Actually... down to a minimum damage because of it.
2 seconds. Roll 20 is loading.
Man, things are going so smooth. So smooth. And then I forgot to say check for traps.
And then we all... Ah!
don't say we.
Hey, you didn't check for traps. You
No,
didn't.
but I-
You blew a 3rd level spell slot just to take or to save yourself from 6 damage.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was 6 damage at the
I know, but I'm not saying that you know what I mean. It's give or take.
Look, I, like Barry Allen, learned from my mistake.
Ha! Hey, I'm betting that like at the end of this, like when you end up with 3 health, it'll be like I'm glad I did that.
I had to double check that that's what rage said.
2 seconds, everybody. Switching maps decided to freak out roll 20, so 1 second. Wow, my computer is.
Is that a trap audio?
No, I hear you.
I don't know what just happened. I had someone chime out and then chime back in.
Same.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, my switching maps decided to end all of my Chrome processes. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, Don.
Hello?
Austin, I just found your Dark Souls drinking rules.
Can nobody hear me?
Also, I only had to
Yeah.
drink 3.
Yeah.
I can't hear you, Kyle.
No one can hear you, Kyle.
Fuck.
No, yeah, no one can hear you, Kyle.
I think it might have had it might have had a full. It might be a giant map.
Sorry, everybody. Again, like I said, all
So
of
to
my
explain to
stuff.
the audience what's happening right now, um,
We
Hmm.
can't hear the DM.
Yeah, that's super weird.
The feed is
Also, the
able
video
to.
has been messed up for a while. You guys weren't seeing the updated rules, it seemed like, right?
Wait, if Keel's streaming, then can they even hear us currently?
Yes, I've checked the
Yes.
audio.
Oh, okay.
So they can hear us and they can hear Kyle, but we can't hear Kyle.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Your mom can't hear Kyle.
Well, viewers, hope you guys are having a good time in
Yo,
quarantine.
Kevin. Ah,
Yes.
never mind. This is so stupid. So
Technical
stupid, dude.
difficulties always suck.
Well, that's new.
Honestly, though, this would be probably a good place to call it. A little bit of intrigue, a little bit of suspense. You fell down a little hole. What's there?
Yeah, guys.
Oh
We're having
no, I
some
see the map
technical
that I probably shouldn't be
difficulties.
seeing.
It's 11 o'clock. I think, unless we hear otherwise in the next 30 seconds to a minute, we're probably going to call it here. Thanks for tuning in. We had a blast. We're finally here at the Lost Shrine of Tomoa-chan, on Maztica. We all made it here alive, although some of us are bruised after that fall. So we will be back next week, Monday, at the same time to find out what's happening and what's going on. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. Check out some of our we love you guys a lot.
Come back
And I think
next week,
that's all,
same
folks.
time, same channel.
And we will hopefully have less technical difficulties for you guys next week.
Someday.
Can you guys hear me now?
For the
I
We
love of
can
can
hear
God.
our glorious DM now.
Holy cow. The map decided to close all of my processes in both Google Chromes I had open and shut down Discord.
Well, we were just doing a sign off telling the fans how much we love them
Yes.
and thank them for viewing us.
Can you guys see?
I can see the map on the stream. I cannot on Roll20.
I can see a black
It,
square on roll 20.
That's what I see.
I see a
Well,
black
it's a
square so
rectangle.
far in roll 20. I'm
Well,
zooming out in
scroll
order
over to the
to.
right side of the map. All the way to the right.
I can't. I'm zoomed all the
I
way
don't
out.
I
and
don't
see
it's just a
anything,
see
huge
I
anything.
but
black
I
still,
can't
rectangle.
select
I still
tokens.
see a black square.
It's a rectangle.
Not be able to. Oh,
which is technically a square.
Oh.
If you're using the new dynamic light, you have to set all the tokens to the new dynamic
I
light.
see.
And I'm so sorry I forgot to tell you that. I didn't actually think we'd run into it today.
He's not really sorry.
No, I am so totally sorry because I dealt with this yesterday.
What's your night vision, Steven? 120?
Let me double check.
Can you see now?
No.
What the fuck? Well, I'm sorry, guys. This is where we are going to end things. I will figure things out. I think this is another Roll20 problem where last time we tried doing this, everybody had to relog into Roll20 because their computers couldn't handle the size of the map. So we'll figure that out and get ready for next Monday as our band of merry men have found themselves into a rubble pile in some sort of underground temple of some sort. So as usual, I love you all, nerds, and stay safe out there. Shit's starting to get scary, and we hope that we see you back next Monday, 8 p.m. Central. Alrighty. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Uh,
Night.
Bye.